Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So the video today is going to be, well, I probably should have filmed this a lot sooner than I have, but it's going to be my Bradford pantomime review. I did one of these for last year's show, I think, yeah. And I just thought I'd continue the tradition, and I'll just start with a little backstory because I've been going to this pantomime now ever since I was about 6 years old, and I'm now 22, so I've been going for 16 years, and it just seems to be a tradition that me and my family, we always go every single year. We've not missed a show since I've been going since I was 6, so I absolutely 100% look forward to going back every single year because it's so much fun. And even though I'm like nearly 23, I still join in, I still cry my eyes out with laughter, get a stitch, but it's what I look forward to every year. Like, I look forward to going to that theatre because it just feels like a second home to me. And Billy Pierce, who, if you don't know, he's done the pantos now for 21 years, and he is the funniest, I think he's the funniest comedian I've ever seen live. And every year I see him, and every year he has like a few of the same jokes, but he's also got like different ones, and it's so much fun. And yeah, so this year it was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and I think for me Snow White is probably my favourite one to see panto wise, because yeah, don't get me wrong, I loved stuff like Cinderella, Jack and the Beanstalk, Aladdin, Peter Pan, but I just love the story of Snow White. I love all the characters. I even love like the evil queen, and yeah, I just love it. And I love like the magic mirror and just everything about it. It's such a good story. Yeah, I do think it's my favourite, and they definitely did not disappoint this year. And I was lucky enough to go and see it twice as well, because I joined the Bradford Friends of the Theatre thing. I think at the end of 2018 I joined it, and you get like exclusive access to pre-sale. So I managed to get me and two of my friends who you know if you watch this channel, Helen and Lexi. We went on the 21st of December at the 2:30 showing, and we were front row basically, but I'm not gonna lie, the view wasn't great because we were like right at the end, so there were points where I couldn't really see. And I think what I liked about this year's was the magic mirror was sort of, instead of being on the stage, they have like the orchestra pit, and it sort of was in there, and they'd have like a smoke effect and it would rise up. And because I was like right at the side, I couldn't really see the face of the magic mirror, but I could if I like leant back a bit and looked behind my friend, but it wasn't the best view. But anyway, I still loved every single second of the show. Like, the whole cast were just phenomenal. Like, I do think this year's cast was 100% my favourite. Like, I've seen quite a few great casts in the past, but this one, I think, because, well, I suppose the kids in the audience wouldn't really have known who they are, because you have to sort of be like my age group or a bit younger to know who they are. So I've completely forgot to say who the cast was. So of course you have the fantastic Billy Pierce, who I adore and my whole family adores, and all of my friends who went for their first ever pantomime. They absolutely loved him, and I think that was made me really happy that they can like him even after seeing him for the first time. And then this is where I fangirled like crazy. We had Faye Tozer from Steps as the evil Queen Lucretia, and oh my god, she was amazing. Like, I know you're not meant to like the villain and you're meant to hate them, but I just loved her. Like, I loved what she did with the character of the Queen, and she sort of made her lovable, even though you're not meant to like her. She was just, her singing voice, like, I love Steps and I've loved them for years, so the fact that she was in it was just insane. And the little bit of the Steps medley at the end of the show was just, it was perfection. I absolutely loved it. Her singing, her dancing, like the little added jokes about Steps and Strictly was really funny, and it just added to really well to like the show, and I just loved her, I really did. But I think for me, my favourite member of the cast would have to be Paul Chuckle as Oddjob, who was basically Queen Lucretia's little henchman. But he was really good, and obviously he's a very, very, very funny man. And I've seen him before, obviously when Barry was still alive. R.I.P. Barry, we miss you. But he just added to that level of humour. Like, when he came out on stage with the trolley that said Idol, obviously their own version of Lidl, which I found hilarious. Like, just little stuff like that which makes it funny. And then how he like threw out his shopping into the crowd, like crisps, which were already open and obviously exploded over the audience, marshmallows, chocolate buttons, and a fresh egg. So yeah, it was really funny. And I think what I liked most about Paul was that when he had his scenes with Billy, I've heard from quite a few people that they didn't really like them scenes because it felt like Billy was taking over Barry. But I would have to disagree. I absolutely loved the scenes of them two together. Like, they were hilarious. And I was looking forward to seeing the show again, but I thought, like, what if I don't find it as funny the second time round? But if anything, I found it even more hilarious than I did the first time around. And I think to be able to see it twice and then love it, fall in love with the show even more, was just incredible, and it just added to that experience. And for me, I'm gonna say like all of the scenes that them two did together because they were hilarious. One of my favourite scenes was the X Factor audition and dress scene, where it's basically like they're getting instructions from one character and another character, and then the other character on stage hears what he's saying to the other person, thinks it's for him, and then has to do all the stuff, and it was just hilarious. And basically Billy had got an audition on the X Factor, is what he was saying, and he wasn't sure how to get through, so he wanted to get tips from Paul's character. So Paul basically said, look, you're obviously not going to do very well dressed like that, so go and get changed. So he got changed, came back out in basically looking like Elvis, with sunglasses on, a wig, and just like a tracksuit. And I was a bit like, how's that going to help him get through an audition? But anyway, so while he was off getting changed, this female character comes on the stage, and she's making a dress, and she's getting a dress made for her or something, and basically Paul goes, "Oh, I've done a bit of dressmaking in the past. Come and show me the dress and I'll suggest a few things to change it up a bit." So she goes off, Billy comes on dressed in what he's in, and then he starts singing into the microphone, and then Paul's character starts giving instructions to the girl, saying like, "Oh, like, do it a bit higher," and then obviously because Billy's singing, he sings higher thinking the instructions are for him when actually they're for the girl with the dress. And that's one reason why I love Panto, because the slapstick comedy is just insane. It's so funny. But there was another scene which I've seen the Chuckle Brothers do live before, and it just took me back to like remembering them two doing it together. And it was the cucumber magic trick scene, and basically Billy's audition hadn't gone well, so they decided to do BGT, so the audience is thinking, "Oh, Britain's Got Talent," and then Paul's like, "No, Bradford's Got Talent." So they wanted to do a magic trick where Billy would get into this box, like crate, box, whatever you want to call it, and he would get a sword pushed through his head, and obviously he was a bit like, "Yeah, but that's gonna hurt." So he wanted to test how sharp this sword was first, to show like the audience it was a real sword. So they were looking in, Billy looked in the crate to see what there was they could use, and he found a cucumber. And obviously the crate had like a hole for the cucumber to go through, and I think you can guess why I'm starting to laugh now, because the hole was in the perfect position for a man. That's all I'm gonna say in this, because and it was hilarious, because so obviously he pushed the cucumber through, and the whole audience was in hysterics, and then Billy was obviously like, "What are they laughing at? What's going on?" And then obviously he was quite scared, thinking it's really sharp, so he started like shaking it and like moving it up, down, left, right, and obviously dirty minded audience is going to laugh at that, thinking it's rude, which was hilarious. And yeah, it was just so funny. And then one of my other favourite scenes, including them two, was they'd been put under like hypnosis for Queen Lucretia to go and basically kill Snow White, and basically when they came back and weren't under the spell anymore, the prince sort of wanted to test them out for to see, like, asking them simple questions to see if they were the same idiots they were before. And obviously the questions were stupid, but the answers were hilarious. And my favourite one was if Theresa May, Boris Johnson, Donald Trump, and oh god, who was it? I think Jeremy Corbyn was stuck on a desert island, who would survive? And it was us. And I was just like, and then literally the whole audience was cheering and clapping and laughing, and it was just so funny. But I did think that Sarah Goggins played Snow White, and I've seen her before in the pantos, because last year she was Jasmine, and then the year before that she was Cinderella, and I absolutely adored her. I thought she was really good. Her singing voice was amazing. Her acting, she was just really professional, and even when she was like alongside Billy or Paul, she never really came out of wrong, which I thought was really, really good. But another one of my favourite characters was the prince, and he was played by Matthew Croak or Croc. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, so I'm really, really sorry if it's wrong. And he was the best prince possibly I've ever seen. He was hilarious. His scene with Queen Lucretia, where she's basically flirting with him, was just insane. Like, honestly, I absolutely adored him. And his little song, I'm Still Standing, just made me want to dance, get up and dance and sing, and it was just perfect. Like, absolutely adored it. But the thing is with Bradford Alhambra theatres is they always have either a 3D sequence or they have a really impressive like animatronic or like a special effect. And obviously the magic mirror was one of the special effects this year, with it being in the pit and then rising up and having the face. So obviously I was third row the second time I saw it, and I was like slap bang in the middle, so I had a perfect view of the mirror. The only thing that I would have said about the mirror was that it wasn't really in sync with the voice. Like, the lips weren't moving at the same time as how it should have been speaking. That's the only issue I had with it. That was the only thing that was pretty bad. But other than that, what really amazed me, and I know I saw it more than once, was the animatronic of the T-Rex, because yeah, you wouldn't really expect, I think that's what I liked about it though, because you wouldn't really expect a T-Rex to be part of Snow White, but it was so good. And even though I saw it twice, I was always amazed by it. I was just like, my jaw dropped. And I remember whenever I go, I always look at everyone else's reactions. And I remember I turned to my friends and they were just like staring at it like, oh my god, that's so cool. Because I'd read a review before I went that there would be a T-Rex on stage. And I didn't expect it to be as big as it was. And then when the like curtain lifted up for it to be revealed, it was huge. And I was so impressed. And I just loved the T-Rex like mad. But they also tend to have this like car or vehicle that flies out into the first few rows of the audience on the stalls. And because I think Billy, I don't know if this is true, but I think Billy knew, yes, he did know, because I told him via Twitter that I was coming again to see the show with my family. And he kept on like, when he came out as dressed up as the singer, I laughed again because it was so funny, and he sort of just like looked at me and I was like, hi. But there was a bit before the interval where he had a moped and it would like fly out into the crowd, and when he did that, it did like a 360, just flew out, waving at people, mainly at like little kids. And then he sort of like came near me, and he sort of like, I was waving because you've got to wave, you've just got to. So I was waving back, and he sort of like saw me. I think he recognised me, I'm not 100% sure. And he just was like, I was like, hi. I'm fine, yeah, thank you. And he was just so good. I really, really enjoyed that bit. But I think one of my favourite scenes, another scene, is the when they're talking about like love stories, and they do a thing at Bradford where they insert like snippets into like a conversation, and it was just hilarious, like the different songs. And it must have taken such a long time to learn like the which song was coming up, when it was going to start. So it was just so clever and hilarious, really, really funny. And that was one of the scenes where I full on cried with laughter because it was just hilarious. But one of my favourite scenes that didn't really involve anyone else was the transformation scene with Faye Faye and then like the ensemble of dancers, and it basically included one of Step's newest songs called Scared of the Dark, and I didn't know at first that was a Step song when I first saw it. So obviously I saw it and I thought it was a really good song, and then I think I messaged Helen, who I went to see it with, and she told me it was a Step song. So I downloaded it onto Spotify and I just kept on listening to it. I managed to learn the whole song so that I could like sing and dance along when I saw it for a second time. And I did, and Faye saw me and was basically just like smiling because I don't think anyone else knew the song as well as me. But like one of the biggest highlights of the whole show for me was actually I'm going to mention this little bit first because it was something really cute that they did to remember Barry, bless him. And it was just so cute because they did like an audience participation bit where Billy, basically Paul Chuckle's character Oddjob was going to read Goldilocks and the Three Bears to the audience, but he needed like 3 dads and a mum to be Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And obviously it was basically like musical chairs with the story, and if they said like Mummy Bear did this, Mummy Bear would have to get up, walk around the chairs and sit back down. And obviously, as you can probably guess, once they did that, it did say it again, so never really got time to sit down. And then instead of having porridge, they had like a cream pie, which obviously like people like clowns use. So they did that and they basically got splattered. And they wanted to give all the people who came up a little like gift, so they gave out 4 bottles of champagne, and then there was one dad left at the end, and one dad would be given a signed photo of Paul and Barry. And whenever this happened, Paul gave a speech saying how even though Barry's gone, Barry's always told Paul that if something happened to him to just carry on entertaining people. And honestly, every time I heard him say that, it just made me like well up a bit and get like goosebumps because it was so sweet, and because they were really close, and it was lovely to see. And I do think it's amazing how Paul is carrying on, and he's amazing, and I honestly think he's so funny, and I love Paul. Like, he's just brilliant, really, really good. But the transformation scene, yes, that was amazing. But for me, the whole highlight was definitely the Steps medley at the end, because they basically told the whole audience to like stand up, dance and sing. But the thing that really they were telling people to get up, and the first time I saw the show, everyone in the whole audience stood up and danced. And then when I saw it the second time, people sort of didn't really join in, and they were just like sat there like, I don't want to. And then it's like, I did, so literally me and my friend stood up, and there was literally no one in front of us stood up, so we were getting all the interaction from like Faye. I noticed Billy smiling away, but it was just hilarious just seeing like Paul doing the tragedy. It was just so funny, and oh, it was amazing. But I think for me, whenever I see the panto and it's 3D, it's amazing. But for me, I do honestly think this show was by far my favourite, and I don't know how they do it, but every year they get better and better and better. And they just always blow me away, and I'm always like, surely they can't top that year, surely they can't do anything better, and they do. And it's honestly, I'd describe it as a 5-star West End production, because it is. Just the talent, and it just blows me away every single year. Honestly, it does. I'm just so happy that I get to go back, and I go back again and again. I just get to see it, and I do think though, in my honest opinion, if it would have been 3D, then it probably wouldn't have been good, because I don't think they didn't need the 3D sequence. If they would have added it in, it would have been pointless. Like, sometimes they add the 3D in and it's like, why was that there? But sometimes it makes it better or worse. So I really enjoyed it. So if any of the cast are watching or have watched this video, then honestly, you're all incredible and I thoroughly enjoyed the show. And Billy Pierce, I will definitely be seeing you next year in Sleeping Beauty. Can't wait to find out the cast and if it's 3D or not. So honestly, thank you for being amazing, and yeah. So if you did enjoy this video, please give it a like, comment and subscribe, and also click the little bell so you can be notified every time I post a new video. This is Redhead Boo signing off. Bye everybody.